My friends, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So I asked for 500 likes on Twitter to do a quick little, let me give you my thoughts going into Nvidia earnings tomorrow. You guys hit that. So I want to start off by saying thank you so much. Always humbled and grateful anytime you do something like that. I always say I ask for the likes on those videos to make sure that I know that I'm spending my time the best way that I can. I also said that I would talk about my position, and I'm absolutely going to do that. Before we get started, let's start with the disclaimers of you guys know the deal. Nothing about this video is financial advice. I want you to make great decisions for yourself, your family, and your portfolio. At the end of the day, please make a decision that you can put your head on your pillow at night about and go, you know what? I'm okay with either way. For instance, like when I sold Palantir at $100 and I saw it kept running up to 120, at first I was kind of like, dang, that sucks. But I also said that, listen, I said once it got over 100, if it started to drop below 100 again, like I'm selling it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I put the stop in place. Stop got triggered. And I was like, dang, kind of sucks whenever it kept running. And then here we are sitting, I don't even know what it, like 80 something today. Yeah, got as low as 85 today, sitting right around 87. So there's always going to be a dip. There's always going to be an opportunity to jump back into something whenever you want to. So just, I say all that to say, be smart. All right. So Nvidia reports earnings tomorrow. The short and sweet aspect of this video is going to be, I'm bullish. I think it's going to do well. Now, whether or not it, rockets 10 or 20% or anything like that, that I'm not speculating on. But Nvidia is kind of a funny chart, right? Because there's certainly a case, and I would agree that there is definitely a case that this chart is in an overall distribution pattern, right? You have your UTAD up here, and then here's where the whole DeepSeek thing happened, and now we're getting bought back up. Now we've kind of sold off into the market. My feeling over number one overall is I feel like the sentiment is very bearish. Like it never takes more than just a couple of days of selling for everybody to be like, oh, here comes the stock crash, and people overlaying charts. Here's the market cycle, and we've hit the peak, and we're about to go into the Great Depression 2.0 after like 3 days of selling. And what was it, like a 4% correction, 5% correction? We looked at it today in my Discord, which, by the way, a lot of you reached out in my Discord. I appreciate you. Thank you. It's closed. It's going to remain closed for a while. I'm just personally very busy right now, and I don't want to take anybody on that I can't give proper time, energy, and effort to. So that's the way it's going to be. Yeah, so like for instance, the market right now, guys, has only gone through a freaking like 4% pullback, right? Even something as crazy and scary as, the carry trade, that was only a 9% pullback. So when people are like, oh, we're in a bear market again or anything like that, it's crazy talk, right? Like you need at least 20% before we're even talking bear market territory and correction. So just relax, right? The reality is with this new administration and coming in and talking tariffs and this, that, and the other, it's like the market is very uncertain and it's very shaky right now. It is what it is. You got to learn how to trade the chop, so to speak. So, at the end of the day, I am bullish on Nvidia earnings. And let me just explain why. I told my Discord back up over in here, it was like right around, it was in here, right? I'm pretty sure it was right here once we got this rejection candle. Also, too, if you learn nothing else from me, learn that these little high volume bursts at the top of trends are always indications of the trend needing to be paused. It's not to say that, oh, you got to sell out of everything because this massive dip is coming, but it's going to go through a correction process. This is how I called the top on Meta. This is how I called the top on Palantir. And it is not rocket science, I promise you. I'm not that in any way, shape, or form. It's just understanding how the market works and understanding charts. And so I told my Discord, I was like, you know what we got forming right here is we got an inverse head and shoulders going on. So yeah, it was this day when we rejected right here. I said, if Nvidia gives us this inverse head and shoulder look right here, and the most diabolical thing, like we might come back to 130, But the most diabolical thing, which I always teach, put your hat on of what is going to screw over the most people. The most diabolical thing that they're going to do is they're going to drive it below the 200-day moving average. That is this red line. The 200-day simple moving average, that simply means it is the last 200 days of stock price. It is the average 200 days of stock price. So when you go back, let's see, I remember looking at Google earlier today. So like Google, for instance, anytime that stock gets over the 200-day, it's like, oh, look, if you would have bought here, you'd be in great territory. Oh, look, if you bought here when it touched. Oh, look, if you bought here when it touched again, when it touched right here. And oh, look, what is Google doing right now? Google is touching its 200-day. At the end of the day, buy quality companies on the 200-day moving average over a long period of time. You're going to be pretty happy. That's a Charlie Munger quote, not a direct quote. He said it a little bit differently, but I'm in the right ballpark for sure. Let's see here. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Let's go back to Nvidia. So I said the most diabolical thing that's going to happen here is they're going to drive Nvidia below its 200-day moving average. And I'll be honest, I did kind of want a little bit of a close here today so we would get some real fear going on. But tomorrow, I would like to see something like this where we start regaining 130. And then I think that there's a very good chance that Nvidia is going to play out this inverse head and shoulder with earnings. Now, like I said, whether that move happens in after hours or not, that's not what I'm here to speculate on. But this move right here, that one extension, would take you up to about 160. That 786 is pretty much right at that previous all-time high of right around that 148. And obviously its previous all-time high right here was at 153. But really, I kind of think this 148.87 level is really the most crucial levels to get over. Because as you can see, anytime you've been above its highs back over here, and this was in November, every single time you got one daily close of it over it. Anytime you've gotten over that 150 level, you're met with sellers every single time. So I think there's a very good chance, though, because I think they're going to have my personal, which I'm not a fundamental trader, I want to be clear on that, but my personal feelings on the fundamentals is Nvidia is going to blow it out of the water. They're going to guide up. We've heard all the mega cap large companies have already reported saying that they are not decreasing their CapEx spending right now at all. They're only increasing it, as a matter of fact. So you could talk about, well, down the road. Well, I don't care about down the road. I care about what is potentially going to be happening in the next couple of days. So this inverse head and shoulder, I would give a pretty comfortable price target if it trades out, at least coming up here to the one extension. You could get an extended move. Let me put it this way. All right. At that one extension, that's where the move is played out. Now, we always can get more, and sometimes we get less on these moves. A full, once you hit like 183, you would be like, that's just the ultimate, gravy on the biscuit. Like I said, I always teach my traders, you trade for the expected move. Anything less, you got to take those profits, and anything more than that is gravy on the biscuits. That's where you would leave like some runners, things of that nature. But I really like Nvidia to move back up towards this 150 area. So my position is I am in 130 calls for this week. I told my team from day one that if it looked like this inverse head and shoulder right here was going to play out, that I would be grabbing some weekly calls because I just wanted to trade my thesis. Now, when I trade earnings, I want to be very clear, it is a very small trade. If you haven't done so already, follow me on X, Colin_Gladman. And those of you that know how I trade and when I trade with big money is I trade with multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars on these trades. This type of trade, what I always teach when you want to take a lotto trade, which is a high risk, high reward trade, and when it's an earnings trade, it has to be priced to zero, meaning you are okay with every single money that you make on that call, or the money that you pay for that premium on that call or that put is going to 100% go to zero. That is the reality of it if you're doing a weekly options trade for earnings. They are incredibly high risk, and a lot of them will wind up going to zero because of IV crush, which I'm going to keep this video shorter. I'm not jumping in to explain that. But if you don't know what IV crush is, you don't need to be doing anything. So I'm looking at it as, so I basically bought a slightly out of the money call. I bought it when we were about 127 today. Currently right now with SMCI, which I don't care about your personal feelings with SMCI. I make fun of it and call it a Ponzi scheme all the time. But with their little pop-up in after hours, currently Nvidia is up to 128.50 in after hours. So the strongest type of candle that you see would be an open tomorrow up over 130 that pretty much starts pushing up and pressing towards this previous level here, right around 135. I really think that would be like max that you could get over earnings unless some type of news got leaked. If it closed over 140, that would be insane, and I would not have my calls. So if my calls do go super green, I'll probably even take some more risk off. But I really think that we are going to get a move somewhere between 140 and 150 on Nvidia. That is my personal opinion. I think expectations and sentiment right now are very low, especially after what's happened their last couple of earnings where they've just gotten blasted. Everybody's talking about, well, CapEx spending and, it's not going to be the future of AI anymore, all this other kind of stuff. And honestly, Jensen's a pumper. Like, he gets out there and he pumps his stock. So especially if that initial reaction is, let's say, like 5 to 8% topside, I think when the meeting starts, Jensen will pump that thing all the way up to 10 to 12%. So assuming, we'll do a couple of assumptions. So let's say we close like right here around 130. So like a 10% move at that point in time takes you to like 142. But I will say this, if we do pump tomorrow, I have the calls that I will take some risk off the table tomorrow if we pump. So like I said, the position that you need to be in, if you want to do the exact same position as me, I don't care what you do, but it just needs to be priced for zero. Okay, like I'm going to Vegas soon, and this is the exact same amount of money that I would like place on sports bets or anything along those lines. It is a very small position, but I told my Discord, I'm going to trade this. If it looks like an inverse head and shoulders is going to form into Nvidia earnings, I'm going to trade it just because I want to pay to see it, if you will. I want to see my thesis play out. So my personal opinion is I'm going to be pretty much right at the money calls going into it for a weekly. I'm hoping for anywhere between 10 to 15% move would be great. If Nvidia trades sideways after earnings and it only opens up at like 133 or something like that, those calls are pretty much going to be worthless because of IV crush. So if you do jump in tomorrow, if you get some nice returns before earnings, like take a little bit off the table. There's nothing wrong with that. The entire position doesn't have to make it to Valhalla or zero. Okay, if I get a really nice bump tomorrow and let's say I'm up like 50-60% on my calls heading into earnings, I'm going to take some risk off the table. I'm not going to be stupid. I don't care what amount or size of money, and I'll post it on my Twitter regardless what happens. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about on these inverse head and shoulders, typically what you want to see is you want to see lighter volume on an inverse head and shoulders. You want to see lighter volume on the left shoulder, then more volume step in on the head, which is what we have, and then the most volume start to step in on the right shoulder. And obviously, you can see that volume starting to pick up, which once again is why I was like, you know what, this is really starting to look like it. I'm going to jump in these calls when we recovered that 200-day moving average. And then with earnings, you're going to see a ton of volume post on the right shoulder. So my personal opinion is, even if you were looking at it as from a buy-in shares standpoint or like swing-in shares or anything like that, I think it's a great setup. I shared it with the team, and I wanted to share it with you. So I hope it's helpful to you. Regardless, like I said, if you're buying any call options, you need to plan on it going to zero. Like I am fully mentally just like this thing's probably going to wind up bust. But I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to pay to see it, see if it would work out. So, yeah. I hope this video was helpful to you. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff, not financial advice, and best of luck. May the odds forever be in our favor. Much love, guys. I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.